Okay, this is Orlando Wilson, and what I want to talk about in this video is I just want to touch on something to do with Europe. You know what? I like Europe a lot. I like mainland Europe a lot. UK annoys the shit out of me, to put it politely. But Europe is changing, and this is where people need to take notice that Europe is changing greatly and drastically, because a lot of people are in complete denial. And this video isn't about bashing immigration, it's just stating facts, because again, I said in other videos, I've been an immigrant most of my life, legal immigrant living in other people's countries, so I understand the immigration a little bit. Now, one of the globalists, I think it was Charles Schwab, all of them disgust me, but I'll quote him here. He's come out with it. There's a video out there, Garden Europe, how I think it was Schwab said that Europe is a garden, the rest of the world is a jungle, and they must have walls around the garden to protect the garden, etc. Well, that used to be the thing. Europe used to be very, very protected. It had borders. It could keep out the riffraff. But Europe made a big mistake. And I'll say this was an intentional mistake by letting in the riffraff. And I don't mean legal immigrants, because again, to me, legal immigration is a positive. It can bring positive influences as long as things are done legally. Where now in Europe, and even in the US to some extent, the borders are open. What criminals and terrorists are in Europe and the US at the moment, nobody knows, because the borders are open. Trafficking is up big time. What weapons, what drugs are these illegals bringing into Europe, bringing into UK, bringing into the US, etc. Nobody knows, because the borders are open. Everything is unchecked. So I think the statement that Europe was a garden is gone. It still is to some extent, but the walls are down. And if you put down the walls to your garden, if you have undefended borders, you're going to be letting in the riffraff that's going to be causing trouble. Again, and this gets me a lot with the immigration side of things. It would take nothing if Europe, the US, needs immigrant workers to put out programs, visa programs for immigrant workers, where they apply at the embassies, consulates, they have background checks where they can, they're fingerprinted, they're ID'd, and they go through the system legally. I think if United States or Europe put out a visa program for workers, they would have plenty of people applying. But by letting in masses of undocumented people, you're just asking for problems. Again, as far as crime is concerned, okay, how many people have fled their own countries, be it in Africa, be it in the Middle East, because they have warrants out for them there, because they're looking at doing jail time there? Who knows? How many murderers, rapists are now wandering around unchecked in Europe and the US because there's no background checks? The police pick them up, immigration pick them up, and release them. How many weapons has been smuggled in? We're not worried about weapons in the US. There's plenty of firearms in the US. But from the US point of view, how many drugs are being brought in? How much fentanyl has been brought in? How many foreign spies, terrorists, etc., are coming in? Nobody knows. Why? Because it's all undocumented. So this is where I see in the near future, especially, let's use Garden Europe as an example. You know what? Europe in its colonial days spent a lot of time, can we put it politely, raping Africa, raping Asia, stealing wealth from other people. I think it's about to get its comeuppance. In my lifetime, maybe, there's going to be a complete reversal. And I think Europe especially is going to be paying for the crimes it's committed in the past. Because by lowering your walls, now you've let in the people that you've been screwing over for a long time, and they're going to want payback. So I think times are changing. I think for the security investigations business, it's going to be positive, because there'll be a lot more crime. The only issue there is these globalists with their woke agendas, they're undermining the authority of security, law enforcement, etc., due to human rights. But I think all they're doing is ending up by, how can I put it, by undermining law enforcement, security, and decriminalizing a lot of crimes. They might see it as they're doing the right thing for human rights, but what they're doing in reality is undermining the human rights of the ordinary citizen that just wants to get on with their life, live peacefully, earn a living, raise a family, etc. Because now those good ordinary people are now going to be targeted, potentially targeted by criminals, murderers, rapists, etc., who's been let into the garden. So a little bit of a rant there. In the meantime, follow me along on social media. We've got a lot more of these videos going up. We've got a lot up there at the moment and more to come. I have an array of books up on Amazon. Talks about various aspects of the security business, life in general, and some crime fiction. So follow us along on social media and think about what I've said here, because I think in the near future things are going to be getting a little bit rougher and a little bit bumpier as far as the economies are concerned and as far as crime is concerned. But again, I say a lot these days, people reap what they sow, and all these woke agendas and good intentions, all they're doing is empowering the criminals, empowering the scumbags, and neglecting the decent, responsible, tax-paying people in the world, which to me seems pretty crazy, but obviously some people have an agenda. So in the meantime, be good, stay safe, and stay out of trouble.